North Korea on Sunday conducted its most powerful nuclear test yet, which it claimed to be an advanced hydrogen bomb designed for a long-range missile. There's even speculation that there could be an additional provocation of firing an intercontinental ballistic missile on September 9th. Sunday's test was the regime's sixth nuclear test, and an early assessment shows that the test demonstrated a yield of 120 kilotons of TNT equivalent. In other words, its power equaled or even exceeded 50,000 tons of TNT. Meanwhile, Japan has revised its official estimate of that nuclear test up to 160 kilotons. Either way, this was a big test and much more powerful than the previous 5 tests that took place in 2006, 2009, 2013, and twice last year. The first one was widely considered to be a failure, but the North said it had joined the nuclear club and that its bomb would contribute to peace and stability on the Korean peninsula. What is worrying to the West, as you can see from the chart, is that North Korea has found a way to substantially increase the yield of its devices. As tensions have risen to an unprecedented level, the expert we interviewed said that KimJong-un may be brutal, but he seems to be rational at the same time. Despite these provocative moves over the past years, North Korea doesn't actually want a nuclear war.
Obviously, North Korea now can hit Japan as well as Guam. So in that case, North Korea has maintained at least 3 hostages vis-a-vis the United States. That forced the U.S. either to come to the negotiation table or continue this kind of vicious circle of escalating of this tension. So far, I think they talk about the negotiation, but not at the right time yet.
As North Korea's nuclear arsenal grows with each nuclear weapon and missile test, the available options for the United States doesn't change much. Military options are as bad now as they were before. There may be greater willingness to impose hard-hitting sanctions like cutting off oil, but some of the current sanctions are already not being faithfully implemented. On Thursday, China, which is North Korea's main trading partner, said it agreed that the UN Security Council should take further actions while continuing to push for more dialogue and conversation. In the meantime, U.S. officials warned that if the UN failed to agree on additional sanctions, Trump will impose sanctions on any country that trades with North Korea.
Are we saying that we need to cut off all the ginseng trade or stop buying anything from North Korea in order not to fund their military program? There are still several layers and several steps to go on. So I personally believe that we are still on the safe side. We are not heading for a nuclear war. We still have diplomatic options.
On the other hand, some observers believe that the threat from North Korea has been exaggerated since it has no territorial ambitions. Simply, their priority now is survival and independence, and that is what has always driven the North Korean nuclear program. As they have pointed out, they have seen what happened to Iraq and Libya after the countries gave up their military programs. That's why North Korea is determined to avoid the same fate. Russian President Vladimir Putin has also criticized the military hysteria against North Korea could lead to a global catastrophe.
I think not necessarily all South Korean people believe that the Korean nation should not have nuclear capability, which means I would believe that there are people in South Korea and think that why not, because the Korean Peninsula has been in between Japan and China, the 2 stronger powers. So even with a unified Korean Peninsula, no matter who unified whom, I believe that there will be voice in the peninsula that keeping the nuclear options at hand in order to boost their international status as well as dealing with strong neighbors.
The UN Security Council is set to meet on Monday to discuss the international response to North Korea's latest nuclear test. If China decides to cut off that vital supply of crude oil going to North Korea, there will be an immediate and pretty costly impact on the economy. The real issue here is whether China and Russia will be ready to get involved. If the Chinese and the Russians both will be prepared to limit or even suspend outright oil deliveries to the north, that's a very consequential step.